Hello, my most amazing artists. Today we are going to be doing an artwork based on the work of artist Charles Mcgee, who at this time in 2020 is an artist that's 95 years old and lives in Detroit, Michigan. So we're going to use 2 sheets of paper here, and so make sure you have 2 sheets of paper, and you're going to set one off to the side. I'm using markers, but if you don't have markers and you have just crayons or colored pencils, you can use that. Charles Mcgee does a lot of stuff that's very much abstract and non-objective. So there's either no object or the object is kind of abstract. What we're going to start by doing is we're just going to make some organic or free-form shapes. So I can start by just making some sort of shape here with my black marker, and I'm going to kind of have it maybe have a couple little things at the end, and I'm going to make a bunch of these. So there's one. I'm going to make one that kind of curves up. I want to try to kind of use all the space that's available to me. So maybe I have one that kind of comes like this. Maybe I have a couple of simple ones, just some that are kind of just a little curvy and come up. Okay, just some kind of organic shapes. This one right here, maybe I'll have a little piece coming out like that, and if I got a little more space I can do a couple more. I'll just do one that's kind of almost like a bean type shape here. So fill your page with these shapes, and I'm just going to have one more that kind of is like this tube type shape, and I'll do one more right here. So what you're going to do at this point with this part of our artwork is we're going to do some patterns just with black. So I'm going to do this one here where I chop it up, maybe color in every other one here to make a sort of pattern. I could do one that has like dashes, where it's filled with dashed lines, or I could have done dots, but I just kind of chose right off the bat to do just these dashes. So let me get these dashes in here. So as I'm thinking of a pattern, it doesn't, it doesn't have to be anything super complicated, and you don't really got to think too much about it. Just come up with some sort of pattern to put in there that you can get done fairly easily. Could be kind of quickly. You can also break up a shape into halves like this if you got a bigger shape, and I'm going to do 1/2 with kind of checkerboard pattern. So do lines one way and then the other way, and then I can color in every other one like a checkerboard. So I'm kind of running out of a little bit of this marker. I got some pretty old markers here at home where I'm doing this demonstration, so I kind of got to switch them out every now and then. Oh, here's a big black power lines one. Maybe that one will work a little bit better. Let's try that. This marker's got a little bit bigger tip. It's like a chisel tip, so it's good for doing large spaces, but it's not really that great for detail work unless I use the little point on it. Alright, so once I've got that half, Let's do this half with just kind of dots. So I'm just going to fill this half with black dots. And you can see that like this half is darker, and that gives us contrast. Contrast is when one thing is a little bit darker, like when your eye kind of blends it together. It makes a little bit darker of a value. Okay, the lightness or darkness of a color is called a value. So you want to try to create different values. So I'm going to do this one with zigzags. And I can even add a second pattern. I could do the dots inside of the zigzags. That wouldn't be too bad. But this is looking like the same value as that over there, or of the dots. So I'm going to just do some little dots in between just to kind of increase the value. Just to increase that dark space. You can see that this half of my little, I'll say it's kind of looks almost like a banana, a kind of banana figure, is a little bit darker. So like I said, this project is going to be in two parts. So the first part here is just this drawing part. I'm going to do this one just with dark black lines. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to actually end up cutting all of these out. And then this one I'm just going to do a couple lines. And I'm going to cross it over, but I'm not going to color them in like I did the other one. And I think for this one I'm just going to do some triangles just to break it up, because I didn't have any other different shapes in there. So I'm going to add kind of this geometric triangle element. So once you've got all of these, we're going to cut them out, and then we are going to paste these kind of overlapping on the second part, which is going to be our background. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in my second sheet of paper, and with this one I'm going to get, you want to pick two colors plus black, but your two colors need to be opposites or complementary. So on the color wheel, red and green are opposites. Also blue and orange would be opposites. And, oh, sorry, that wasn't blue, that was aquamarine. Blue and orange would be opposites. And then also yellow and violet would be opposites. I'm going to go ahead and do orange and, or sorry, green and red. So what I want you to do to start is we're just going to create kind of our space. So we're going to go around the outside edge with the black marker. Kind of create almost like a border. And we're going to do what's called kind of like a doodling technique. So we're going to start maybe just with a couple of lines in a corner, and then just kind of go out from those lines and make shapes. Make some patterns in the shapes, put some other little embellishments. You can just have it kind of start and then just draw out a little bit. So we're just going to kind of draw around. I'm going to have it's going to come in here. You kind of want everything to kind of come together. It's almost like we're making a giant puzzle. Okay, and you don't want too many like super big empty spaces. So you can break up things with lines. You can connect lines to other parts. I'm going to have kind of this coming over here. Maybe this goes all the way down to that. Let's goes all the way over. This is going to kind of come around and in almost like a swirl itself. And let's see here. I'm going to put a circle in there. So I'm kind of filling this space with, but I'm using more like, almost more geometric lines here. Lines that have points and perfect curves. That looks almost like a window there. I'm just kind of filling up this area. So I can use bumps like that, or that. I can use zigzags. I can use straight lines. I can use bumpy lines. I'm going to have a bump that comes up like this. And let's see, I'm going to have kind of this cool little step thing happening here. Just for a little bit of it. I can break up my space with lines like this. Just kind of breaking up the space. And don't think too much about it. Just kind of let it flow. Let it come out from your mind. So you don't have to really think too much. You want it to just kind of be organic. Just kind of come out from your subconscious, from your deep mind. So I'm just going to add a few more things in here. Just to kind of fill it up. Like I said, just kind of fill up the space. Let me do some triangular things in here. I have this kind of like triangle shape here. Maybe I'm going to have something that comes over like that, Maybe this part is just filled with lines. So once I kind of got this with my black marker and it's filled up and it's kind of balanced, I'm going to come in with one of my colors and I'm just going to fill just some random spaces. I can color them all the way in. I can do it with lines like that to make a lighter value. Remember, we were talking about value being kind of like color. Okay, you can do just the edge of things like this. Okay, you can color some parts in. Just kind of spread it out though. Make it kind of balanced. So I got a whole bunch right here. Let me put some down on this end. So I'm going to just color some of these things in. So right now, as you can see, I'm trying to balance everything out. I'm trying to make everything a little bit uniform. And when I say uniform, I mean like if I got a lot of dark green on one side, I want to have the same amount of dark green on the other side. You know, just like a lot of things in nature are very balanced. So I want to make sure I balance out my composition the way I lay things out. So I'm trying to get a good amount of the green in one half and the other half. Almost there, I think. Gotta put a little green right there. Let's do a couple of these like window pane looking things. Let's do those green. I'm gonna do this part green and around the edge. And then I kind of look at it and say, okay, is there any part that doesn't have any color yet? So let's see, right here, needs some color. I'm gonna make this kind of green, and maybe like right in here could probably use some color. So I'm gonna use some of these lines. And this is where then I go in, and if I've done one color, I start adding that complementary color. So I'm going to go ahead and get my red, and then some of these parts, I'm just going to go ahead and add that red. Maybe I color it all the way in like this. Okay, maybe I just do part of it like that, or like that. Maybe I, do the lines like I did before. You could even do dots. You could do checkerboards. All that kind of stuff we did on the first part. But you want to have a bunch of areas of color. So, once I get this mostly completed here, and you could probably do more, even more than I've done. I've just done a little bit. I'm trying to be kind of quick so you guys can get started, and so I can show you all the steps without having this video be totally too long, which it's already close to being too long. You can put lines in the middle like that. That's a good way to kind of get some spaces, not really filled up, but like halfway filled, and break up the spaces. I'm going to do this one with zigzags. Alright, so it looks like I'm getting there, almost have like a balanced amount of red on both sides. Let's do this right here, all the way down, and let's have part of this circle. Let's have this part of the circle be red. And this is what I meant with the dots. You could do like dots like that to break up the space. Okay, and we're almost there, I think. So once you kind of got this together, and let's see if there's any more parts where I want to put some little red embellishments, some little red parts. Let's put a little red dot right there. And I'd say that's pretty good. I mean, there's maybe a few more parts where I could put stuff, but I'm pretty happy with that right now. So I'm going to take that, and I take my first page, and I'm going to go ahead and cut these pieces that I have, that I made, these organic shapes, out. And this is going to create an interesting contrast, an interesting juxtaposition of patterns, of just black and white patterns against the patterns that I have already that are more colored in. So here is one of my shapes here. So here's one of my shapes, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out just a few more to kind of give you an idea of how we will glue these down and overlap them. When you're doing this, you don't want to just do it and not think about it. When you're drawing, that's a good way, like just to do different lines and shapes. But when you're putting together the collage, the things glued on top, what you want to make sure you do is think about where you're putting things and how it makes the picture look. So if it doesn't, like if the picture looks unbalanced, or if the picture is kind of disturbing because there's a big empty spot or things like that, you kind of want to make sure that they kind of cross over each other and make sense as part of the bigger picture. So after you cut all of these out, and I've got about 3 more to cut out here, I'm going as fast as I can, believe me. then you're going to glue them down. One thing that's real important, especially if you're using, well, whatever type of glue you're using, is you don't use too much glue. And we don't want to put the glue down on the paper first, this paper, the background, because if we put the glue down on the background, what's going to happen is, especially if you got markers on the background, is it's going to make the markers run. It's going to make the markers bleed into each other, because the markers are what's called water soluble. That means, like, if they get wet, they'll run. So you want to make sure that your markers don't run. Okay, so when you put the glue on your pieces, you want to make sure you put them around the edge of the pieces you're gluing down. Okay, if your piece is a little bit small, you can put it all over the back. If you're using liquid glue and not glue sticks, you want to make sure that you don't put too much glue on it. Remember, a dot, not a lot. So you put just a dot on each piece. So we're almost to the end here. Got just one more piece to cut out. So now I'm going to put my scraps off to the side. I've got all these pieces. So before I glue them down, I want to come up with my plan of how to arrange them. So I might have this one kind of coming toward the corner. I'm going to maybe like kind of overlap them and then go different ways than what's underneath. You want to kind of do some of the bigger ones first. Have this one kind of coming across like that. This one maybe tuck it behind here, have it coming up, with this one crossing over both. And then I get a really cool, like, overlapping look to everything. So once I'm done, I put the glue on the back, I glue everything down, and then I'm left with my finished art piece. Alright everybody, so remember the first part is on one paper you're going to draw all your organic shapes, add a pattern with the black. On the other sheet you're going to start with your border, then you're going to do geometric lines and shapes to fill the space, make sure everything kind of connects. And then you're going to cut these out, arrange them on top, and glue them down. Alright, I look forward to seeing your guys' artwork, and I will see you next time. Alright everybody, bye bye.